Hello and welcome back to Harry Shoots People. The other day I had to travel to London to get a tattoo, and since I was only there for 12 hours, I thought why not challenge myself to shoot an entire roll of film in those 12 hours. So at 8 in the morning, I grabbed my Kodak Gold and I headed out the door. This is what I was wearing on the day, if anyone cares. It was unexpectedly hot in London, which I wasn't best pleased about, but can't be helped. I'm not the biggest fan of recording in public. I find it very awkward and I feel like everyone's staring at me. So here's a video of me sneakily trying to load my contacts on the train without anyone noticing. On my brief changeover at Doncaster, I started off the roll with this shot. To say that this was the first image on the roll that day, I'm quite happy with how it turned out. However, it could have very easily been improved. I was in a rush and I didn't want the people to notice me taking a picture of them, so I decided to take it very quickly and move on. However, if I had more time to compose, I would have framed it like this instead and placed more focus on subjects. A little more time on the train later and I arrived in London. The first thing I did when I stepped out of the station was snap this pic. I don't think it's anything incredible, but it works, and it was enough to sort of make me feel a bit more confident using my camera in public. I then linked up with Chile and we headed on our way.
I should not be ruining my...
Evidently, one of the main challenges that very quickly arose was time. London's actually a pretty big place and we were in a rush, so we couldn't really stop for photos every 5 minutes or so. So we ended up with a photo like this, which I'm not particularly proud of. However, saying that, when we did stop to take photos, I ended up with photos like this, which is one of my favourites from the roll. The angle of the photo is a little bit off, as the rug was on the second floor balcony. However, I really like the colours, and it seems to not resemble traditional British photography, which I quite like. It was nice I was able to capture that just on a whim. I then took this quick portrait of Chile, and I'm really happy with this one. I think the shadows and colours look great, and the depth of field is just shallow enough to create a nice drop off. I did slightly miss focus on his face though, so that's something I'm hoping to improve for next time, but I'm still overall really happy with the photo and I like the contrast created. We then hit up Aperture Film Shop and I picked up some Potsdam 100, a particularly nice black and white film that I like using, but I can never seem to find it anywhere in the UK. I used it on one of the first Made by Atelier shoots and I just really loved the images that came out of it, so I'm super excited to shoot that again. On our way out, I saw this scene across the road. This photo's okay, like it works, but I really wish that I hadn't overexposed it because I think it could have really helped with some quite high contrast and like an almost dramatic look to it. I also saw all these cool Lime bikes stacked up on our way to Mason Bertrand for a quick coffee. Outside the cafe, I took this picture. I'm not exactly sure what I was trying to capture here, but it doesn't seem to have worked. That being said, luckily I was able to bring it back with the next two pictures I took on our way into Borough Market. I remember really liking the first image, but felt like it was almost too busy and I got closer for the second image. But looking at them side by side, the first image has a lot more life and feels less sterile than the latter. On Chile's recommendation, we then grabbed a sandwich from the Black Pig, and this sandwich was incredible, I'll be honest. It was a solid 9 out of 10, here's a picture of it. The only thing that could have possibly made it a 10 if it wasn't a ridiculous £12. On that note, if you want me to keep being able to afford Potsdam 100 and £12 sandwiches, now would be a great time to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from this channel and see my photography, whether it's good or bad. Anyway, we then decided we'd chill out for a bit and eat our sandwiches across the River Thames, looking at this nice view. I decided to take this picture quickly. I don't think it's anything special, Obviously I was trying to make the composition a little bit more interesting. I don't think it panned out to anything great, but still, practice is practice. Also, I took another portrait of Chili. This time the face was more in focus, however we didn't have the contrasting lighting and the image just looks kind of flat. So I think in future I'll be trying to find more dramatic lighting situations to take portraits in, to give them that extra bit of flair. It was getting to about midday at this point, so we decided to walk along to where I was getting the tattoo done. And on the way we passed the River Thames, where I snapped this picture of. And also, while walking down some side streets, I encountered these two very cool cars. The first one was a Rolls Royce, and the second was a Golf. The strip of camouflage seems to work really well with the reflection of the painted shutter against the front of the car. Finally, we arrived at the studio and it was such a cool space inside. Then the stencil got put on and everything looked great, so I said bye to Chili and I headed back inside. This is what the tattoo ended up looking like, if anyone cares. My initial plan was for the tattoo to be finished, take about 2 hours and head on down back. It was about an hour and a half's walk and I was like, maybe I can just take it really slow and finish off the rest of the roll, which I think at this point I was about 18 out of 24 photos in. But the tattoo ended up taking a lot longer than expected and I ended up being in a massive rush to get home. So I think that severely impacted what I would class as the second half of the day and the second half of the roll. I ended up taking this on the way back as well. Once again, I'm really very grateful for the light on this day. I like the way the car's almost peeking out in the same way that the woman is out the window. You can just barely see the woman. I mean, the car's pretty obvious, but it gives off the same atmosphere. And then, as with all trains, all the rushing was pointless as I ended up at King's Cross and my train had been delayed half an hour. So I just decided to walk around and snap a couple of pictures of the trains. I'm not particularly very happy with any of these, I don't think they're anything special, but it was just to finish the roll and I think if I'd allotted myself a lot more time walking back, I could have got some nice pictures of people rather than trains, and I think I just felt under pressure to finish the roll. On the train home as well, I took 3 more photos. This first one I quite like because of the motion, but the other 2 that I took ended up looking quite distinctly different to what was right in front of me at the time. So I'm quite disappointed in those as well. Overall, I've really learned to take my time. I think if I were to do this again, maybe I'd give myself more time or give myself more locations to visit rather than waiting for stuff to happen. And just to end the roll, I took this picture in the mirror and then began to warm the film back up.
Newcastle. Call it York.
In conclusion, it is actually pretty difficult to shoot an entire roll film in probably less than 12 hours, especially when you're just walking around and you're not really sure where to go or what to look at. But I'm pretty happy with what I got out of it and I like challenging myself to that. Overall, out of the 24 photos, there's probably 4 that I'm very happy with, these 2 being my favourites. And I'm happy to have a couple more photos to add to the Idle Engines project. Thank you for watching. Maybe comment your favourite photo below or maybe a different challenge to undergo. Thank you for watching.
Okay.